star.
No.
Goes boom.
Goes boom.
Black hole.
ANOVA.
One-way analysis. That's all I got. Yeah, that's
Well,
all.
Why is there an A?
It one way just means there's two-way ANOVA, but we're only going to focus on one way. But ANOVA
It's three different
analysis. They get the AN from analysis, O from of, variance. Oops, I forgot to capitalize that. That's where they get the BA. ANOVA, analysis of variance. What was the null hypothesis?
There's no significant difference between three population means.
For that example in the video, they were looking at three means. So mu1 was equal to mu2, which was equal to mu3. With ANOVA, you're always going to assume all the means are the same. The alternative is they're not all equal. The test statistic, F.
I didn't finish what it equals.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll write it in the notes, but it's just called F. And then this one, if you get ANOVA results that are statistically significant, you should do a follow-up significance test to see which means are actually equal or not. All right, can I flip?
No.
No.
C.
D,
O.
E.
H.
F,
A. O.
H, J.
Okay,
L.
ANOVA.mp4 RST.
Oh,
Way to
ruined
suck
it,
this
Maddie.
Sorry, Maddie.
Are we good? Okay. All right, some definitions first. So, the analysis of variance idea. ANOVA, which ANOVA, some people say ANOVA. I'm going to say A because that's Zachary.
Yeah.
What Zachary do?
He was falling asleep.
Zachary, do not fall asleep.
ANOVA tests whether several populations or treatments have the same mean by comparing how far apart the sample means are with how much variation there is in the samples. Somebody is very talkative today.
I'm listening.
So F, oops, you guys should have told me I was off to the side. I don't look up there, I look here. F is found by taking the variation, and I made this really long and it's still not long enough for my handwriting, but I'll try and make it fit. Variation among sample means divided by variation among individuals within those samples. Does everybody have a calculator today? Yeah. Okay. Anybody need one? Everybody good? Calculator? All right. So, I have to read now. Ugh. Okay. Ethan Temmels and W. John Kress of Amherst College studied the relationship between varieties of the tropical flower, whatever that's called, on the island of Dominica and the different species of hummingbirds that pollinate the flowers. Over time, the researchers believe the lengths of the flowers and the forms of the hummingbirds' beaks have evolved to match each other. If that is true, flower varieties pollinated by different hummingbird species should have distinct distributions of length. The table below gives length measurements in millimeters for independent random samples of 3 varieties of the flower, each pollinated by a different species of hummingbird. Do the 3 varieties display distinct distributions of length? In particular, do the mean lengths of their flowers differ? So we have the 3 types, the flower, and then I don't know how to say any of these. This one I'm going to call red because I can read that word. And then we have yellow at the end. So we're going to find the summary statistics for each type of flower. Mean and standard deviation, which means you need to make 3 lists. One for the B, one for R, one for Y. That's what I'm... No. Sorry.
Sometimes that happens.
Sometimes it does happen, but I kept that one over here. And actually, I don't think I have the next example in this calculator already. No falling asleep, Hayden. I'm not that bored. Type in your lists.
Oh.
What are these numbers? Is it the
The
length of the
length of the flower.
Oh. Let's take
You guys are like, I thought I was done typing in lists.
It's never over.
No, it's our last
Nope.
Monday.
No, what? Oh, because next Monday is senior skip.
Because no one I'm coming.
For us, this doesn't, but I got dropped in this class.
Good job. I've given up.
There's like 2 weeks left.
Seriously.
That's so pointless.
You
Thank
really
you.
been in this class this whole time? Yeah. Use the code you need .041. I just dropped this one year out. And I was like, so what was that? I was like, oh, I thought you were gonna do that. Oh, I thought your math class was for your math. No, I was just doing math for fun. Oh, you didn't know that you did.
You know it would have counted as elective credit.
Yeah, if I passed.
Well, you could have passed.
I'm still working
Well,
on
or I
could
could
just show him a paper that says I have a job and then he gives me credit.
Ooh, case good.
Yeah.
Come here, close.
Gosh, I would have done that. And then it just gives you credit. It gives you like
Because life is not full of easy numbers.
Oh, wow. She's really coming through this. I did so many on our red set, and I don't know.
I don't want to text all this.
So much.
Oh my gosh, you guys are such...
Babies.
I wasn't gonna say babies, I was gonna say complainers.
Complain.
I am a complainer. You go to one of our stats, right?
Yes.
Oh shit, my water
I'm
bottle.
a freaking bird. And I don't even know if these numbers are right. What is clues is limiting your ability? Actually, you really just misjudged your place clues. I don't know really well.
Because it's a bigger sample size.
Really? They all be the same.
No,
Oh, is that the
They don't.
no, they don't have to be.
Okay.
Jeez Louise, Maddie.
Everyone's coming from my throat today.
No, I'm not. I am not.
Really?
Really?
This is what
If I get like a different variation of things, I'm just gonna watch. Yeah.
Oh.
Michelle really said easy today. How do I delete it? I come here. Holly. I less slides. The video's only like 2 hours long. It just means the whole it's like 30 minutes. It's just this. You just like click on it and just type delete. Oh, and look, it's gone. How many gets the same?
You don't delete the list. Automatically, you highlight the list at the top, you hit clear. Otherwise, the list, like how real this is.
How many decimals were those two? Two? No, this is always the same. Or a high.
All right,
Wait, not yet.
not yet.
Yeah, come on.
We're not fast typers.
How are you not that best of a typer yet?
I can do it on my phone, but not here.
Oh yeah, I'm really fast.
That's sad.
I know, right?
My screen
Yeah.
time is like so
And then I was like,
Was it 1 bar stats
How was that? How'd that go?
What?
to get the...
1 bar stats, yes. All right, do we have our means?
We have. Do we? That's the question.
Did anybody get the mean for the first flower that I'm calling B?
47.
Thank
It
you.
said 47.59. Oh wait, never mind. It is 47.
So you can make up all these numbers, but you can't learn how to pronounce a flower.
Oh.
I didn't make these numbers up, they're real data.
Are they though?
Yes.
Yeah,
How
are
do
they?
you know? They're from Amsterdam.
All right,
Let's just.
you think I just make this up?
Everyone's
You
gonna-
know there are websites where you can just type in a topic and it'll create data for you?
So you chose
Like
this
real
topic.
data. Anywho, standard deviation for the first flower. And by the way, mister, you can make up these numbers but not pronounce it. How would you pronounce it?
B Hall.
It's B-I-H-A-I. I would say
Oh,
Baha'i.
That's also wrong.
Exactly.
Let Nate say
It's
it.
1.21.
Thank you.
Yeah, let Nate, how do you pronounce the bird's name?
I'm actually not
It's a
sure about
flower.
Oh, the
I know how to say hummingbird.
How do you spell it?
Hummingbird?
Yeah.
H-U-M-I-N-G-B-I-R-E-D.
Yeah, she did say E.
Yeah, I. Okay.
Oh, She's making me rethink whether we should give her that diploma or not.
She was thinking of the Spanish.
Whatever. All right. What's the average for the red flower?
39.7.
Thanks, Jillian.
Hey, Molly said it too.
39.8.
I didn't hear her over this. What's the standard deviation?
3. 1.83.
What about the average for the yellow?
36.18.
And standard deviation?
0.98.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right. We now want to create a graphical display. You can do a stem plot, dot plot, box plot.
Box plot.
That's what I would go with.
Like on the calculator.
Yeah, or by hand.
Who has caught issues?
By hand.
Who has caught issues in here? Like right
What are
now?
the options?
Like this semester.
I would go, if you're using the calculator, I'd use a dot plot.
Dot plot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
How do we do that
I need to instead.
again? Sorry, I forgot.
Second y equals.
Okay.
Go into plot 1.
Yeah.
Choose the, make sure you turn it on. I forgot to turn it on. Choose the first box plot because it'll show you outliers.
I said dot plot.
Sorry, box. I put dot stem plot. You really could use any of them, but the calculator will do the box plot for you.
What's the frequency?
Leave it blank, or 1.
Okay.
The default 1.
No, it's another list.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll just change it.
Then you didn't change the type.
No, I did.
No, it's on.
Oh, mine defaults to 1. Make it
When I
1.
tried to put in 1, it made it a Y.
Yeah, it's,
No, because this
yeah.
person did like a scatter plot before, so.
Yeah, but see, I have a scatter plot, Zach.
Oh, it turned into a Y.
And when I change it to the box plot, it defaults my frequency to 1.
Never mind.
Well,
How do you get that again?
second y equals.
Wait, let's see how the other letters. Yes, I found you.
My calculator is being funky.
How'd you get all 3 in there?
I did all 3 plots at
Oh.
once. See?
Never mind.
They're all on. And list 1, list 2, list 3. But my calculator,
Oh, that is so smart.
Oh, wait, let's check. Yeah, the other ones are on.
Mine should be different colors.
I chose navy, red, and green.
I can't even see it.
There's something I have
On this
to.
freebie cave
How
yourself.
much your Maddie is? So, okay, there's nothing in either of those. 2?
Oh.
Wait, do you just want to... Wait.
Your mom. What? Look at this.
Do you do this? Does it have to be this one or this one?
Oh, you go. Oh, wait, are you doing a scatter plot or a box
Wait, you
plot?
go to one here? Was that the wrong one? See?
Yeah.
Is that one?
I pressed one, two, and I
Okay,
did
that
it.
one.
So, okay.
Take out the lock off.
What? The hula? Yeah. It's not like...
Who else?
Flopped it on the ground.
Oh, I figured it out. Wait, it's not letting me.
Oh,
Because you put y for frequency.
No, I cleared it and grabbed it and it's still decided. Oh, okay. Now that this is whittled, does it? How do you fix it? Did you just hit clear again?
I typed 1 and then frequency.
Oh, I tried to. Yes.
You have to turn the out lock off. Yeah.
And I draw one for each one.
Oh, you read that out?
let's do 9.
Oh, I got it.
Make sure you have one.
I don't know.
Are they supposed to look like this?
I did the exact same thing.
Did I choose the wrong one? I think I messed this up as well. That's I think I put this one wrong. Which one are we supposed to use? Do 9. God, I just didn't choose the list. I got 1. So pretty.
Mine just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
All right. Woo. There we go. So you can turn all three plots on at once. See, plot 1's on using list 1. Plot 2 is on using list 2. Plot 3 using list 3. So you can see all of them at once. Then you would hit zoom 9 so that it picks a good window for you. And there's our 3 box plots for the different. What do you guys notice about the box plots?
They're different sizes because the amount of data for each box was different. They're all
No.
boxes.
Box plots can't show you data like
No, but-
that.
Lots
A
of
sample
variation.
size is bigger.
variation.
Lots of variation.
Exact axis.
Like the yellow one doesn't have as much variation as
Sorry.
as the red and the B one.
Which no, Sam. Which box plot is symmetric?
The yellow.
The bottom one.
The bottom one, which
Yeah.
is for the yellow flower.
Tails are being kind of goofy.
Outliers.
No outliers. I chose the box plots that would give. No, it's not.
The red one seems more than the left.
There are no outliers because we chose the graph that would automatically show outliers.
They make
If
them,
you mistype something.
they make little.
All right.
Mine goes.
What would be the appropriate null and alternative hypothesis?
There's no difference.
H null,
Gone boys.
mu for the B flower equals mu for the red flower, which equals mu for the white flower. And the alternative would be they're not all equal.
You're gonna have to write words.
You
We have to do it, right?
Like, yes, like on on a test. Yes, draw your
Oh.
box
I'm
plots.
not good at drawing.
Either am I, but I can do those. All right, can I flip? Good. All right, so there are certain conditions that have to be met so we can do our ANOVA test. The first one is random. The data, Sam, the data come from independent random samples of size n sub 1 from population 1, size n sub 2 from population 2, and size n sub k from population k. If you're working with a randomized experiment, we say the group sizes are n sub 1, n sub 2, all the way through n sub k. It's the same idea, but they do write it separate in the definition. If you have k groups, k, because you could have 3 groups, like the flowers, or you could have, I don't know, 7 groups. So k just represents the total number of groups. If you are sampling without replacement, you must check the 10% condition. Then we have our normal / large sample condition. So you want to check that all the population distributions are normal. I don't think I can fit distributions are normal. Or all sample sizes are greater than or equal to 30. If the population distribution, if the shape of the population distribution is unknown, or your sample sizes are less than 30, then you want to graph the data so that you can assess normality. You want to make sure there's no strong skewness or outliers. Whose music am I hearing? Is that Eric?
Yeah. I can play like some of that.
Yeah, we can even hear the words. Let's see.
Eric! Turn it down.
It's hard though.
To turn it down?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
But,
I thought it was just a button.
Huh?
Do you want me to lose this packet?
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Alright, where'd my purple one go? There it is. Alright, and then the last condition is same standard deviation. So this condition is new. The response variables has the same standard deviation for all populations. Now that's kind of I wouldn't say suspicious, but it's kind of hard to do. I mean, if we go back and look, there's similar standard deviations, but they're not exactly the same. So they have this little clause with that condition that the results of the ANOVA test are approximately correct when the largest sample standard deviation is no more than twice as large as the smallest sample standard deviation.
is that even correct?
Probably not, and we're okay with that. At least I am. I don't know if
The
Nate
largest
is back there.
sample standard deviation is no more than twice
As large
large
as the
as the
smallest.
smallest.
So if you double the smallest, it's smaller.
Yeah, I suppose you could do it that way. I do it with division. I suppose you could double it. All right, so same data.
It doesn't, like, it's not grammatically.
Nobody cares.
No, but it just doesn't sound.
It doesn't
make sense.
We should ask Nate.
You know
Like,
what?
I'm not an English girl either, but that just, like, confused me.
We're gonna check our conditions. Same data, I just recopied it for you. Okay, so we don't have to flip back and forth. So first one, random. So it does say up in the paragraph, independent random samples. So we do have our independent, I can't speak either. Independent random samples. That part is good. Are we sampling with or without replacement? Or without. We're not picking a flower, measuring it, putting it back, and then possibly picking it again. So we have to check the 10% condition. So this had 16, right? Yeah, that's 16. That's 16, so 23. And this one had 15. So you have to check the 10% condition for each population. So 16 is less than or equal to 1/10 of the population for the flower with the bee. So,
Wait.
I'm sorry, but
Nothing. It looks like close together and the same color.
well, I'm still working with random.
Oh, what?
What?
It just says.
It says if you're sampling without replacement, you have to check the 10% condition.
But there's already random.
Okay, so I didn't come up with the rules, but let's just say there are 4 conditions: random, independent, normal, and same standard deviation.
That's bold.
They just put random and independent together. But it does say independent up here too.
Oh,
Wow. So if it says that we don't have to do that, or
we still have.
No,
Wait, what?
you do.
Oh, so we still do it even if it says that.
Yeah,
Okay. That's really cool.
like I said, I didn't come up with the rules, people. I just teach them.
So
I know you read it. We should.
I do.
So change out the rules
She's
real
the
quick.
one who
Change it up. You can just.
We're going
You're the
to
one who
assume
grades it. Yeah. True.
that, so you better do both.
Okay. Oh, great.
I don't know what this flower is, but we're going to assume there's more than 160, 230, and 180 of each.
We're just assuming.
Yes.
What if
That part I'm saying is fine. Gosh, you guys are. Ugh. All right. I don't know why I wrote normal out instead of just doing the N, but I did. None of these have greater than 30. It doesn't say they follow a normal distribution up here, so we have to graph them to assess their normality, which I already had you do. Did any of them have extreme skewness or outliers? No. Graphs show no extreme skewness or outliers. Now, Hannah did ask a good question. On your test, you would want to make a quick sketch if you want full credit. Last condition is the same standard deviation, which says that our largest standard deviation can be no more than twice the smallest. So if we go back, largest standard deviation was 1.8, the smallest was 0.98. So Hannah said multiply the smallest by 2. I divide. If I take 1.8 divided by 0.98, I get, 1.84, which is less than 2, so that condition is met.
That's all we have to do for that.
Yep, less than 2, check mark.
Yay.
I suppose you don't have to put the check mark, but I do. Questions? Can I flip?
Wait.
The 2 is from the, you can't have it, it can't be more than 2, so she's like, yeah, it has to be less than 2 or 2.
I took the largest standard deviation divided by the smallest, and I got 1.84, which is less than 2. So we're good.
Where's 2?
You guys got stuck on my grammar instead of paying attention. No more than twice. Twice is 2.
Is it
So just 2?
Less, or can it be? Can it be like exactly twice, or still just less?
says
Less
no
than
less?
2.
Wait, what's
Less than 2.
It's
Oh, you made this so
1.999.
confusing.
Is that true for all cases?
Okay, I think I
Yeah, I
have
think
it.
it
But
is
two is
so
not
easy
for
to-
everything. It changes.
Also, the rule makes
No.
sense.
It's always 2.
Not the same.
It's always 2.
That's why
2
we
is
add
twice.
All
that.
cases.
Biggest divided by smallest must be less than 2.
Why did we say twice?
Okay,
Say 2.
just math is stupid. You
Twice means
you
2.
made that one confusing.
No, it,
Okay, that one's everyone.
twice as large.
Twice is double.
It says twice as large as the smallest sample size.
What is
I don't know.
what does twice mean?
I thought it meant like double the
What does double mean? 2.
times
Why
2.
wouldn't you just say?
Anywho,
Everyone's
you guys are gonna do this one on your own. Read the paragraph, there's your data, give me the hypotheses,
Oh no.
and check your
Our
conditions.
test is this Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm taking this up with the creator of statistics.
They're probably dead by now.
It's oh.
This one.
Yeah, Eric said I'm the ruler of
You
statistics.
changed the wording.
Sure, I don't care as long as you know that large divided by small has got to be less than 2. Word it however you want.
Where wait? Oh.
Hayden,
My least favorite part is reading the paragraph.
I should have made you state test today.
Wow. That was
You guys
big
sleep
threat.
through my lesson, you can go state test. Gosh, such a troublemaker.
She never did it to you. She went to you.
I do like Cheyenne.
Does it say random?
You look so confused, Hayden.
Well, yeah, he was sleeping.
She was a lot nicer
Does
than
it?
my dream.
You drank your in statistics. Wow, in statistics.
Wait, are these groups? Okay. Little.
Or what if you were
You do
just
neither
experiencing an out of body?
Say that
Can
again.
you do neither too?
Like, yeah, we still do neither, even though the monkey is
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you would do, like,
Oh.
hey, look, I did it already.
That's too much numbers, man.
It's like it's math or something.
Where's the chemistry tomorrow?
Don't forget where you're going tomorrow in English.
He's not even in this class.
You're welcome. Oh shoot, the state examination. I think you learned to be there. I'm paying attention.
Because I got nine. Yes, I'm trying to graduate.
Like you did for?
And this class
Oh,
is I'm just not that.
it has to be
Well,
thoughtful.
it was
It
that
can't just
one.
be like this.
What's my checklist?
Million.
I'm gonna show you.
Did you already do yours, Jonah? No, I'm doing it during lunch.
No, I wish.
Why is your always whipping out bed?
I just deleted my whole first row.
We're talking about the plot.
There's only 3 plots.
Bro, we got 5
You have to wrap this plot as well.
It's a good math movie.
Yeah, I did.
How did you do that?
It's
There we go.
Wait,
it's just accessible.
yesterday
I've done that
Breathe
too.
through your
The
mouth.
thing is still in my house. I put it back in my car. So now whenever I put juice back, I'm older, it spills out.
yeah. No, the ones that are like they're hooked up.
Did you do that on purpose?
Like the ones
No.
that you
I then just grabbed my
Yeah.
protein bottle,
Oh,
and then I drank out of it. It's like, wait a minute, it's like couple
here,
seconds.
they're close to you, so I'm like trying to go over here. And I walk, pull the phone out of the wall. No, I literally did. I was like, the sun. So I was like,
Yeah.
I called him, hey.
Can I make a fourth one?
There's a
I
duck.
didn't rip it out the wall. In your house?
Last night I was driving home and it's literally like
Oh no, I broke
Like
the
it.
week to all the customers.
and I was driving home and it ran across the street and I was like, I almost hit it and I was like, its mom isn't anywhere. It's gonna get
Yeah.
eaten. So I
Like,
took it.
everyone had the cash register, so I was like in the local there, so I was like answering it when I was in sales.
Now it's yours forever.
This person called back and goes, do you want me to take it? I go,
Yeah.
Do they?
It's so bad. They call me.
Yeah.
What are you gonna make?
Sometimes they call to pick up their order, sometimes they call about
Like a
questions.
baby.
A duck?
Yeah, it was really embarrassing. The thing is, I ripped it out of the.
Roger.
No, not Donald, not Donald.
I was like,
Donald.
Bruh.
that's the first reason I thought it was
How
really.
about
Yeah.
Damien.
Daffy.
The baby.
that's a weird
one.
duck. Who would name a
Daffy
duck
duck,
Daffy?
you've never heard of Daffy duck?
I'm just kidding. I ain't no chump like that. There's something.
You wrote fish? What's its name?
How
How
about Luis?
James Pond. That's
What about Miguel?
I googled what's the name of
Yeah, so
That's the funny.
could be a boy or a girl.
I can't tell.
He's so long.
I can't see it.
But you're not supposed to get
But no, you're not supposed to get two betas. My beta was named Poseidon and it died.
Keep you up all night?
No, I like put a little like you turn the lights off so
Jagged it.
slept.
I love
Bro.
it. And now I'm going to like that dumb.
Bro.
Shady.
Pause.
What'll?
Wow. Wordle? How do you do
Oh, what's the wordle?
Yeah, we should also have a leader in there.
That is.
So I said,
Did you hear what her friends named her fish? Pond. No,
no, that's
Squid
my
Shady.
fish.
It's right across the road. Yeah.
I
You
got.
just took it? That's
His mom probably watched it as a kid. She's like,
That's my
Why
favorite.
did you
that's not
Is it
good.
your room?
No, I looked at that.
He's like,
One mom or like other people like.
So it's a family fish?
Oh, I probably should have
But
watched
I just don't have it. I didn't have like a big one.
Comments on his throat. She got back to all of us and he gets kidnapped.
How big did you get
That's
it?
just walking
For
for
one
help.
fish?
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
what
I'm supposed to have a space.
It's fish to me like. Now if I give it back, the family will disown me.
Fish
Oh,
or
yeah.
bread?
Yeah.
You should wash it. Those things are probably so dirty.
Dawn soap.
Those commercials.
Why'd you just?
I think everyone's not.
That's what I do.
This one, What'll? Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful.
I thought you said something in another.
I said beautiful with a British accent.
You're British?
Apparently.
Why?
How do you turn this on?
Why is state testing like all week?
Because
Dude, I flew there.
Are they testing?
Where'd you get that from?
My dad dropped me off at a hotel in
Oh,
Florida.
okay.
I stayed there.
That makes sense. No, I'm
Crap.
yeah.
Hey, crap.
It was so scary.
Wait, do we have to put this
But like,
in
it's
the
there
list?
Nine.
Oh.
There's 3 of them. You can't do 4.
Oh, that's not bad.
So,
Well, there doesn't look like
Whoa.
I just took the easy way out.
At the same time? No.
This is
Yeah, that's
Right now.
literally something wrapping out.
Yeah, but you're all
like the one
I've done some really
Hayden.
It's
And
like,
she came to get them and I said, they don't want to do it. And she said, okay.
and then.
in your mouth?
Because it's not testing.
You're a Molly.
They take you out
Use
of
it.
The California state fish.
Molly,
I didn't know that
will you
was
go
a
to
state
your
fish.
number one?
Yay, Molly!
Alright. So you're
Oh, it is
rotating
probably.
You want me already on the board?
What's our state
Off
fish?
the class?
Hey, what?
There's a state
What's our
fish.
state fish?
Rainbow trout.
Rainbow trout.
Chinook.
It's a salmon.
It is? Rainbow trout.
Chinook salmon.
No, the California ones,
Bro,
they
you're
are
a
balls.
Listen to eat, like,
And there was hella. They
When you sign my checklist,
one
Nope.
big goldfish. One guy.
Checklist.
And then I
I'm
saw
missing
some
the checklist.
Look at Harry.
I saw hella.
Look at him just checking on the
One
couch.
of my instructor picked one
It's
up.
the Chinook salmon.
It was a Chinook river. Just go to road. Excuse me.
Are you recording?
Yeah. Recording. We're all over the place.
I'm gonna look at this later.
At right around 45 minutes.
Dang.
It's already been 45 minutes.
I know, right?
So I feel like you spent forever.
Do I have to define them too? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're like, it's just like these people.
No.
Or like
Shut up.
flies your hair. That's weird.
I think I did it. That's crazy.
You did it.
I did it.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you say
Sometimes it is.
Yeah, I grabbed it.
I grabbed it too, but it just happened.
I didn't grab them all individually. Because like when I put in three, you could see the last one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you can't put more than two. So, but yeah, they were all fine.
I made a reading competition. I can't. No, I'm winning by one.
Should I get it?
Watch it.
Oh my
I'm really
goodness.
glad about it.
It's a bull.
But that it said there's no more grading.
I don't know if that's readable, but
It does, you know. I read like. I read 3 books this weekend.
Hey, it is. What do you
It's
say?
still an addiction. Look at this. How many of them? Oh, it's plus one real actually. I did actually read one.
paperback.
Dude, I'm waiting. I was gonna die.
This is just all I do. And my goal's 50, and I'm 50, 33 more to go.
What about the beard though? Like, where's the beard gonna connect
I wasn't on
to?
No, I just really flexed.
Yeah.
What's up, me?
It's for me.
You got 100?
Or else it'll look like.
Yeah, I did not
It's
deserve
literally like a hard line of.
Maybe it's C. No, you definitely read it.
I don't know hair shit. Well, it's in what's it? Yeah, I'm saying I'm going for dreads this day. Well, that's pretty funny.
Oh, I forgot to take attendance.
They just sit you down with the world.
I'm looking for freeform things.
All right. Hypotheses. The null is all 4 means are equal. Alternative, not all of them are equal.
How did you feel being edited?
It did say to define your parameters. So very basically, Molly just put that that's our nitrogen mean. Remember, we would say that the true mean, blah, blah, blah. That's how we define parameters, but this is fine. Just this is our true nitrogen mean, true phosphorus mean, true both mean, true neither mean. Then Shelley came up and checked our conditions randomly. 8 is less than or equal to 1/10 of the population for nitrogen, phosphorus, and both. So she did all of that just in one step. And then 7 is less than or equal to 1/10 the population for neither. She did actually check her box plots. None of them show extreme skewness or outliers. And then same standard deviation, largest standard deviation divided by the smallest is about 1.58, which is less than 2. What did you get, Anna?
Well, I got the same, but my standard deviation were 1.9 or 1.2.
1.9.
Okay.
This one should have a standard deviation in the 2s.
Yeah,
But I didn't get 2.06.
I got 2.1.
2.1.
That's
So
We're all around the same
yeah,
place.
that's okay.
But we did get less than 2. Did you break a hip?
So bad.
All right.
Oh.
This question here is like one you'll see in your worksheet tonight. It says, choose your parents wisely.
Oh.
Yeah.
All
All right. To live long, it helps to have long-lived parents. One study of this inheritance of longevity looked at records of families in a small mountain valley in France, where the style of life changed little over time. All married couples in which both husband and wife were born between 1745 and 1849 were divided into 4 groups as follows. So short-lived wife with a short-lived husband, short-lived wife with a long-lived husband, long-lived wife with a short-lived husband, or both of them are long-lived. Long-lived parents were in the top 70% of the distribution of age at death. Short-lived parents were in the bottom 30%. To examine extended life, the investigators looked at the ages at death of the children of these parents who lived to at least age 55. The report includes a bar graph like the one below. So you have your parents' longevity group, and then the children's longevity, how old they live to be. Explain why it is not wise to carry out an ANOVA.mp4 test in this setting. Which condition is violated? Do we have standard deviation to check? No. So can't really check that one. So normal or random?
Is it random?
Is it random?
No.
No.
I don't see it in here.
It's not random.
Not random. Got it.
It tells us, where does it say it? They looked at the records of families in a small mountain valley in France. What did they use? Records. So in theory, a census. So they looked at the entire population. They didn't randomly select. Can I flip?
No. Yes.
All right. Oh man, I'm running out of time. All right, so ANOVA test. There are two degrees of freedom. The ANOVA.mp4 statistic is found by taking something divided by something else. The top of the fraction is called the numerator. The bottom is called the denominator. The numerator and the denominator in ANOVA have different degrees of freedom. Suppose we want to compare the means of K populations or treatments, the total number of observations in all samples or groups combined would be found by adding them all together. We call that N. So when you add all the sample sizes together, that's capital N. If the null hypothesis that all the population treatment means are equal is true and the conditions for inference are met, the ANOVA-F statistic has the F distribution with K minus 1, DF means degrees freedom, in the numerator, and N minus K degrees of freedom in the denominator. So if we go back to the hummingbird example, K was 3 because we had the bee flower, the red flower, and the yellow flower. Capital N, we had sample size of 16, a sample size of 23, and a sample size of 15, which would be what? That's 39, 49, 54. I just added 16, 23, and 15 together. You're welcome. So, in the numerator, our degrees of freedom, let's do this, degrees of freedom with little n, so the numerator would be K minus 1. K is 3, minus 1 is 2. K is the number of categories or groups. Degrees of freedom in the denominator is capital N, so all the groups together, minus the number of groups you have. So we had 54 minus 3, which would be 51. You guys are going to find the degrees of freedom for this one that you just did, the bromeliad, the nitrogen, phosphorus, both or neither. Find K, capital N, then use those to find your degrees of freedom. Bless you. And while you do that, I'll hand out the homework so I don't run out of time. There is, for that one. For the hummingbird, there are only 3 groups.
Oh.
For the next one with the
I'm not even gonna try.
I just really write this stuff down so I don't forget.
K is, we don't subtract, okay, we don't? Okay. That comes when you
This is the
actually
worksheet.
use the
It
degrees.
looks like you're sitting still.
Oh.
K is just how many groups.
Okay, this is easy. Like I can actually do this. I'm so
What? This is a word? Go ahead,
All right, what's K for this one? 4. Because we had nitrogen, phosphorus, both, neither. There were 4 groups. What was our population? We had 8, and 7, right? What does that equal? 31. So what's the degrees of freedom for the numerator? 3, because we take K minus 1. Degrees of freedom in the denominator? What is it? 27. 31 minus 4. I handed out the homework. The only thing on the homework, there's problem like this, where it's talking about degrees of freedom, it asks you to find K n sub I. That just means give each sample size. So up here, n sub I was 8, 8, 8, and 7. You just list the sample sizes.
Got it.
What's going on?